A Hemi-powered 425 horsepower, wheelie-popping cab-forward pickup truck might not be the first thing that comes to mind when you think of an early 60s dragster. But that's exactly what Bill Maverick Golden brought to the streets back in 1964. The Little Red Wagon, as it was called, set fire to what we now know as the funny car movement, and this miniature truck is also credited by many for spreading the craze of wheel-standing, high-powered dragsters to a whole nation. The story of the legendary driver behind drag racing's first wheel-standing truck begins back on the last day of December 1933, when Billy Lawrence Golden was born in the Shawnee Township of Gallatin County, Illinois. Golden enlisted in the United States Marine Corps when he grew up, and this is where he first picked up a knack for drag racing while serving at the motor pool station at Camp Pendleton. Golden first got the Maverick nickname in the late 1950s, and the way he got that nickname is an interesting story all in itself. The name was first coined by a drag strip announcer in Southern California, and it all came down to Billy Golden's dragster of choice at the time, a full-sized Dodge Custom Royal sedan with a 361 CU in motor stuffed under the hood. An unconventional choice, to say the least. It didn't take long for the Maverick to make a name for himself in the local drag racing scene, and before you knew it, Golden had established himself as somewhat of a local legend. This was only the beginning of Bill Golden's fascination with Dodges, as he stuck with the brand when he started out drag racing professionally at the American Hot Rod Association's Superstock Series. In this series, Golden was among the first to put an automatic transmission to successful use, and this led him to Chrysler offering him a deal and providing factory parts for the Dodge Phoenix he drove for the 1960 season. Maverick's Phoenix was no ordinary car, though, as it was capable of running the quarter mile in just 13.7 seconds. Powered by its 330 CU in-twin carbureted engine with a cross-ram intake manifold putting out an impressive 330 horsepower to the crank. Fast forward 2 years to 1962, and the Maverick was now a full-on factory driver for Dodge, running a brand new SS8 Dodge with a 413 under the hood. This bright yellow Hemi-powered Dodge 330 sedan, nicknamed the Taxi Cab, was his ride of choice for the 1962 AHRA season, where he would go on to take a historic victory over the 409 CU in factory-backed Chevrolet of Dino Don Nicholson at the Winter Nationals at the Fontana Drag Strip to secure the Stock Eliminator title for himself. Not only would this victory be a remarkable one in Bill Golden's career, but it would also go down in history as the only Nationals victory for any Chrysler badged car for the entirety of the 1962 season. A tinkerer at heart, Golden could not help himself to keep the motor stock, and after some major heart surgery, the little 330 that could signed off 1962 with another victory at the Lions Drag Stop, where it overcame the odds over 149 fellow factory drivers. This momentum of success carried over to 1963, where the Maverick and his Dodge 330 were several tenths ahead of their rivals on a daily basis, going on to achieve dozens of victories all over the nation, and ultimately cementing this legacy in the history books by being voted as one of the top 10 superstock dragsters of all time. Chrysler upgraded Golden's machinery to a new 426 Hemi for the 1964 season, and to say he was dominating the field that year would be an understatement. Chrysler called him up to see an experimental pickup truck that they were working on at Dick Branster's workshop in Troy, Michigan, and the rest, as they say, is history. The pickup truck in question was a heavily modified A100 cab-over pickup truck, built from the ground up to be a promotional piece to capture the eyes of the nation, much like the D100, which had a far more conventional design. But don't get it twisted, there was nothing conventional about this little A100, as it rode on a custom tubular chassis, and the factory 6-cylinder engine had been chucked out in favor of a monstrous 426 Hemi, just like the one Bill had on his Dodge 330 dragster. With all that power under the hood, or the bed to be factually correct, could not be handled by the shock transmission, so it also had to be replaced by an automatic Turcoflight unit, which was moved 20 inches further from its normal location in the name of better weight distribution. Fitting this high-performance powertrain to the body of the D100 was no easy feat though, as both the bed and the cab had to be cut up to fit all that muscle. Anything that didn't add performance to the truck was swiftly taken off, including the dashboard, front bumper, spare tire, and heater, which were some of the victims. Dodge even went ahead and replaced the D100's factory doors with fiberglass ones that practically weighed nothing, and the result was one of the fastest pickup trucks the world had ever seen, covering the quarter mile in the mid-11s at a top speed of 120 miles per hour. It was not until 1964 that Bill Maverick Golden, the reigning Superstock champion, got his hands on the Little Red Wagon. And by that time, this D100 had already built up a reputation for being a handful out on the drag strip. Shifting the engine under the bed had altered the truck's overall weight distribution ratio to the tone of 48/52, which caused it to pop wheelies along nearly the entire length of the quarter mile. While on full throttle, the higher-ups at Dodge tried everything at their disposal to tame the beast. But even with Golden behind the wheel at the 1965 AHRA Grand American event held at the Lions drag strip, the Little Red Wagon had its front wheels up and rear bumper scraping on the tarmac 7 different times on its way to an 11-second quarter-mile run, elating the onlookers and planting the seeds that this truck could become more than just another dragster. Following that run at the Lions drag strip, Golden took the challenge of finally taming this beast to heart and made several revolutionary modifications to the Little Red Wagon, including mounting massive disc brakes that could be locked and unlocked independently via hand controls to the rear wheels to steer the truck when he was looking up at the sky. Golden also outfitted the truck with 8 independent shock absorbers to control the height of his wheel stands and move the steering wheel to the middle of the cockpit so that he could at least have some sense of where he was headed. And with that, he was off to the races, entertaining millions of fans with his wheel-standing antics. In 1977, the Little Red Wagon and Bill Golden entered the Guinness Book of World Records for popping one of the longest wheel stands in history at the length of 1,289 meters, or the approximate length of 3/4-mile drag strips put end to end. The story of the Little Red Wagon was not all sunshine and roses, though. Dodge built 4 examples of its wheelie-popping D100 in total, but the first and second were totaled due to crashes spanning 1969, 1971, and 1975. Things didn't go to waste, though, as the scraps from the 2 wrecked cars were used to build a separate one that Bill would go on to entertain the public with all the way until 2003, when he finally decided to hang up his boots. Both Bill Maverick Golden and the Little Red Wagon have carved their names into the automotive history books with their wheelie-poppin' antics, and these heroics have been forgotten. The Little Red Wagon is still considered to be one of the most influential tracks in history, and you have to thank this little D100 for modern-day high-performance trucks like the Ford F-150 Raptor and the Ram TRX. Although Bill Golden passed away on the 14th of September 2015, his legacy lives on in the hearts of drag racing fans all over the world. With back-to-back victories in the AHRA World Championship and a Guinness World Record to his name, this legendary racer has been nominated to be inducted into the Motorsport Hall of Fame of America. It's safe to say that there won't be another driver like Bill Maverick Golden, and his motto of always give the crowd what they want will always be a testament to his heroics behind the wheel.